Welcome to the Sunday Stoic Podcast. This is Steve coming to you from Conway, Arkansas, and this is a podcast where we apply ancient philosophy to modern life. I've been simplifying things a bit lately. You may have noticed I scrapped the Sunday Stoic website. Why? Because I myself hadn't logged onto it in like 6 months to do anything to it. I may create a more automated site where episodes get posted, and I like to have a blog, but I have sort of walked away from that. It's just hard to keep up with everything, especially when I just don't care about having a website that much. I'm sorry if anyone was getting some value out of the website. I doubt if anyone really was going there that often. Anyway, so that's what I've been doing. I've been applying Stoicism to my life, simplifying things where I can. I feel like Epictetus kind of yells at you sometimes when you're reading him. Today we're continuing our reading of the Enchiridion of Epictetus, and sometimes he yells at us and says, "Hey, simplify your life. You're doing too many things. You can't be good at anything if you don't focus on the things you want to be good at." And today's reading really feels like an indictment of myself, depending on how I read it. It goes straight to my heart, and I think it is said that a good philosopher will make you question yourself and make you go, "Oh crap, I haven't thought of that," or "Oh, I'm guilty of what he's saying," and then you have to make internal changes as you are revealed to yourself through the chastisement of the philosopher. And this week's reading is no different. So we're going to hear from Epictetus. He's talking to his students about becoming a philosopher, about thinking hard about what it is you want to do before you commit to it. So don't go around saying, "I'm a Stoic, I'm a Stoic, I'm a Stoic," if you're not willing to do the work. If you think you might give up in a month. Because what is it going to say about you, and how will people think of you if you are bragging about being a philosopher, about being a Stoic, and you are making these claims, and then the next thing they know, you're spending money on superfluous stuff, or trying hard to become famous, or you're caught lying in public, or whatever it is, you were caught acting in such a way that reflects non-philosophical behavior. That's going to make you look twice as foolish, because you were claiming to be one thing while at the same time acting the complete opposite. And that would be a source of shame to a good Stoic. Not the public opinion of you, but the knowledge that you are an internal hypocrite. And we all have those places where we try to do one thing and we fail. But we really need to think about what are our natural strengths and weaknesses, and how might we put those to work in such a way that when we choose a path, we have a bit of an advantage. We can choose our battles so that we may be victorious. Chapter 29. In everything you do, consider what comes first, and what follows, and so approach it. Otherwise, you will come to it with a good heart at first, because you have not reflected on any of the consequences, and afterwards, when difficulties have appeared, you will desist to your shame. Do you wish to win at Olympia? So do I, by the gods, for it is a fine thing. But consider the first steps to it, and the consequences, and so lay your hand to the work. You must submit to discipline, eat to order, touch no sweets, train under compulsion, at a fixed hour, in heat and cold, drink no cold water nor wine except by order. You must hand yourself over completely to your trainer as you would to a physician, and then when the contest comes, you must risk getting hacked, and sometimes dislocate your hand, twist your ankle, swallow plenty of sand, sometimes get a flogging, and with all this suffer defeat. When you have considered all this well, then enter on the athlete's course if you still wish it. If you act without thought, you will be behaving like children who one day play at wrestlers, another day at gladiators, Now sound the trumpet and next strut the stage. Like them, you will now be an athlete, now a gladiator, then orator, then philosopher, but nothing with all your soul. Like an ape, you imitate every sight you see, and one thing after another takes your fancy. When you undertake a thing, you do it casually and half-heartedly instead of considering it and looking at it all around. In the same way, some people, when they see a philosopher and hear a man speaking like Euphrates, and indeed, who could speak as he can, wish to be philosophers themselves. Man, consider first what it is you are undertaking, then look at your own powers and see if you can bear it. Do you want to compete in the pentathlon or in wrestling? Look at your arms and your thighs and see what your loins are like. 4 different men are born for different tasks. Do you suppose that if you do this, you can live as you do now, eat and drink as you do now, indulge desire and discontent just as before? Nay, you must sit up late, work hard, abandon your own people, be looked down on by a mere slave, be ridiculed by those who meet you, get the worst of it in everything, in honor, in office, in justice, in every possible thing. This is what you have to consider, whether you are willing to pay this price for peace of mind, freedom, tranquility. If not, do not come near. Do not be like children, first a philosopher, then a tax collector, then an orator, then one of Caesar's procurators. These callings do not agree. You must be one man, good or bad. You must develop either your governing principle or your outward endowments. You must study either your inner man or outward things. In a word, you must choose between the position of a philosopher and that of a mere outsider. I have a whim of steel. Rather than a will of steel, I can have a whim. Ooh, I want this. I want to do this. No, I want to do that. Ooh, look at that. Shiny, pretty. Ooh, and get distracted, right? Epictetus is telling us not to be that way. We need to have focus. We need to have commitment. We need to have dedication if we want to make progress as philosophers. He warns us not to be like children who want to be a fireman one moment, then an astronaut, then a police officer, then a scuba diver, and then a zookeeper. Flitting from one thing to the next, always chasing the next best thing, changing our hobbies, changing our future directions, changing the things we find valuable and worth pursuing. He's saying you're never going to make progress unless you pick one path and you become an expert at it. You can never do something with all your soul if you're doing too many things. You need to reduce and simplify and focus. Become an expert at something, not a dabbler in all things. And I am very guilty of that sin. I am a dabbler. I've often kind of envied folks in a way that I know who have this overriding passion. I don't really necessarily mean that in a negative way like the Stoics might say a passion, but like people who just love, let's say, biking, and they spend all their extra time biking, getting the right bike for them, fixing their bike, going places, or maybe it's water skiing, or maybe it's flying, and that's their passion. I have rarely had high levels of passion for anything, but I have low levels of passion for too many things. I like little challenges. I like lots of little things. I have small collections, and I should not have collections. Like I have an interest in World War II, and I have a small collection of items from that conflict, or I have fossils that I've collected, or just different things, different passions. And it'd be nice to be for the lack of clutter in my home. Well, right now I have too much clutter. I'd like to have a lack of clutter. That would be easier if I had a singular focus and I didn't let my mind wander and I chase too many things. But what Epictetus is saying here is stop flitting around. Look at this thing called philosophy that you're pretending you want to do. You pretend you want to study philosophy. Well, look at it. What is it going to take? Look at it from all angles. Don't lie to yourself. We're so good at lying to ourselves and pretending, oh, I need this thing, or I can do this thing, or I'll have time to do this, or whatever. Do you really, or are you deceiving yourself? Look at philosophy. Look at Stoicism. What does Stoicism require? It requires you to reprioritize a value system that you've been raised with, to put more value in your choices than in outcomes or in possessions, to realize that external events should not have the power to alter your mood, and to try to make sure that actually happens, that external events can't alter your mood or have very little influence on it, right? That externals have you could call it value, but they are not goods. And so you can pursue those worth pursuing. You have to think about things critically and clearly. You have to be willing to commit yourself to exercises like journaling or training for hardships. You have to put in the time to do these things. Otherwise, it's all talk and no action. You have to be willing to be an active part of your society, of your community, because you can't be a sage sitting in a house by yourself in your underwear thinking about what is good and what is evil. You have to be putting it into action. You have to be willing to pick yourself up when you fail and move forward and not give up and not flounder. Are you willing to do these things? Do you have a natural inclination for some of these things? Some of you are lucky enough to be born with some Stoic tendencies. You're further up the mountain than I am because it's how you are. You're not fighting impulses that try to drag you in the other direction. So look at your shoulders, as he says to the wrestler. Are you scrawny or are you big? Maybe you shouldn't be a wrestler if you don't have the right body for it. Maybe Stoicism isn't for you. Maybe you ought to look into another philosophy of life if you don't have what it takes. Because according to Epictetus, it's pretty shameful to begin and then change your mind immediately and go off somewhere else. Or to put in a few years of effort and go, never mind, I'm an Epicurean. Or never mind, I'm gonna go down the path of a hedonist lifestyle and just eat, drink, rock and roll, woohoo, fun times until I'm dead. What is it that you value? Don't be a hypocrite. Failing because it's hard is not shameful, as long as you're moving in the right direction. But failing because you're a hypocrite is where shame lies. We talked about this in a patron chat just the other day. It's not shameful to fail at something that's hard because it's hard. It's shameful to be a hypocrite, to say you're one thing and then do another thing. That's where shame lies, and we want to avoid that. We don't want to go get a Marcus Aurelius tattoo and then have pictures of us passed out on the street, or get caught robbing a bank, or whatever it may be, violating the basic tenets of the philosophy that we claimed to be representing. Something to think about. Let me know your thoughts. And we'll move forward to Enchiridion number 30 and beyond in the next episode. But until then, put this stuff into practice. Evaluate. What does it take to be a philosopher in the modern era? It's different than it was during Epictetus' time. What does it mean to practice philosophy now? And do you think you have what it takes? Seize the day. Carpe diem.
Thank you for listening to The Sunday Stoic. Become a member of the Sunday Stoic team. Earn rewards by becoming a patron at www.patreon.com/SundayStoic. Contact the show by emailing sundaystoic@gmail.com. And as Steve always says, Carpe diem.
Stoic.